Somewhere in time's own space, there must be some sweet pastured place where creeks sing on and tall trees grow, a place where forgotten horses can go. Tucked away in the seclusion of the Spanish countryside between the mountains and the Mediterranean is a sanctuary where horses, ponies and donkeys peacefully live. Horses like Bronson and Lucerio, donkeys like Gin and Tonic, and ponies like Samson and Napoleon will spend the rest of their days in this environment where they are all loved and cared for. The Easy Horse Care Rescue Centre should not exist. There should never have been a need for it to open, and everyone at the rescue centre would prefer that this were the case. But the brutal reality is that not everyone respects or cares for these noble creatures as they deserve. And it is for this reason that founders, husband and wife team Sue and Rod Weeding saw the desperate need that many horses in Spain had, and it was out of this necessity that the Easy Horse Care Foundation was born. Their mission today is to rescue, rehabilitate and provide sanctuary for horses, ponies and donkeys from all around Spain who have been abused, unwanted or simply forgotten. Every rescued animal here has been nursed back to health, treated with kindness, love and given back the dignity and freedom it deserves. The story starts when former horse owners Sue and her husband Rod decided to up sticks and leave the UK for the south of Spain to retire.
We thought that part of our life had finished. We'd finished with horses, we'd finished with working 7 days a week. We sold everything up in the UK and we came over to Spain to this actual property, our finca, 13 years ago. And for the first few years we had a very nice, relaxed full life. We done the garden, we rebuilt the finca and life was good. I then decided to open up an English tack shop. We started to get people come into the tack shop and talk about their horse, the yard where they were, some of the horrible sights that they'd seen. And I was becoming increasingly aware some of them really were kept in the most horrendous conditions. One day, we were called to deliver some rubber matting to a stable yard. I decided to go with my husband. We turned up at the yard and while Rod was unloading the rubber matting, I went into what was a typical stable yard inside, looked at all the horses. I started to go round the corner and somebody said, "Oh, you don't want to go there, you're not going to like what you see." I went round the corner and there he was. A beautiful 2.5-year-old horse behind bars, looking out at a wall, just rearing up, throwing himself against the bars, trying to free himself from all the flies that were driving him crazy. And when I looked closer, his eye was rotten. It actually had maggots in it. The flies were driving him absolutely crazy. And even his other eye, the good eye, part of the eyelid had actually been cut away. I stood there and I just looked and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And obviously I said, "Well, what on earth? Why is this horse like this?" And the reply was, "Oh dear, that's Lucero. Isn't it awful? He's been abandoned by his owner. He's very wild. Nobody doesn't know what to do with him. He's going to be sold for meat next week." I looked at Rod and we both knew that our lives would never be the same again. Lucero was the start of the rescue centre.
And almost 5 years on, Lucerio, a young stallion who was just hours away from being slaughtered, is now living happily at the centre, along with over 50 other horses, ponies and donkeys. But the triumph of saving Lucerio soon subsided when the stark reality of what they were embarking on bit hard. As word got around, they soon found themselves inundated with reports of abused animals from concerned members of the public of all nationalities. They now realised the enormity of what had to be done, and the almighty task of creating the sanctuary began. Building stables, dividing and levelling land, putting up electric fences, fitting water feeders, erecting shelters, and this was only the beginning. Although they'd been involved with horses all their lives, the couple had never dealt with animals that had had the sort of psychological and physical trauma like that of Lucerio, and were not remotely prepared.
When you have horses like Lucerio that had never ever been let out into the open, you were very aware that you had this young horse full of energy that had no idea that he couldn't see on half of his body. He had no idea he was blind on that side, and he actually had no knowledge when we first started to take him out of the stable and give him a wider area, that he could actually run into things and hurt himself and literally run through people, because he actually had me and my husband over several times. The horse had no idea of his environment around him. He'd lived in a box all his life. These were actually the hardest challenges. Putting down the original basic fields and stables, yes, it was physical hard work. The real challenge is dealing with horses that have psychological problems, injuries, that aren't used to being handled. So when you're actually trying to treat an injury, it's quite dangerous, because obviously the horse doesn't know that you're necessarily helping him, so they can kick out, they can bite, etc., etc. These were actually our biggest challenges, and also finding professional people in the early days that we could work with that would obviously help us help these animals. Finding a good equine dentist, because lots of horses come in and they have horrendous problems with the teeth, with the mouths. Finding a good equine vet that was prepared to be on call 24 hours a day, that would do it at a special rate for us, and would be as keen as we were to actually treat some of these horrific cases. So really, it was a huge, huge learning curve, you know. You think you know about horses, you think you know how to care for them, but believe you me, I know so little even now. And the one thing that most people that have worked with horses all your life will tell you, with horses, you never ever stop learning. And really, with what we're doing, that is the hardest challenge, because you just never know, and there's always another case comes in that nobody's ever had the experience of doing it before. And really, it's just learning as you go along.
Sue and Rod weren't the only people who had never seen cases like this before. By a remarkable stroke of luck, a top equine vet lived nearby to the centre and has become vital to the EHC's progress.
Dorothy is a remarkable young woman. She's on call 24 hours a day, and she will go out day or night. And when you see some of the cases that she handles, you know, she absolutely is a truly amazing young woman. And the work and determination that she's done with us, Saving Faith, Bronson, and several of the horses here, they wouldn't have survived without Dorothea, without a doubt. I can pick up the phone anytime we have a problem or an emergency, and Dorothea will get here as soon as she can. On a good week, and I say a good week, when we don't have any emergencies or crises, I'll probably speak to Dorothea at least 10 times, and she'll probably be here at least 3 times in the week. On a bad week, when we have a crisis, an emergency, whatever, then she might be here 4 or 5 times a day.
Along with Dorothea, there are other professionals who selflessly assist the centre, like Enrique the farrier, Kay Barry the equine dentist, and Gaspar Castellin, one of the world's most renowned horse surgeons based in Barcelona, and who freely gives his time and expertise to treat horses and ponies who would normally be considered untreatable. All the professionals have developed a terrifically strong bond with the centre, and together as a team they work tirelessly towards saving horses, ponies and donkeys in distress.
Without The professional people that are now involved with the foundation, we simply wouldn't exist. All of them do their services for us at a very special price. If we were charged the normal price, we just quite simply wouldn't have the money to give the care that we're able to our equines that are here, because every horse here has the teeth done at least once a year, twice a year if need be. The feet are done regularly, every 6 to 8 weeks. Everything that every horse needs here is given to them, and they are treated as good as any horse, I would say, in any top stable anywhere in the world. And because these people do it at a special rate for us, obviously we can continue to do this here at the centre.
With no rescue guidebook or protocol, rescuing a horse in Spain is frequently very difficult and often traumatic for both the animals and rescuers. Every case that Sue attends has its own challenge, and it is only in exceptional circumstances that the police are either willing or able to help. And so it's rare that there is any legal support at the scene.
There isn't ever a set pattern to how to rescue an animal. We literally have to work out the best way forward. Whenever you go to a situation, you have to assess the problem, assess what animal needs the rescue the most, and obviously work out how you're going to get that animal out. There have been times when we've actually been contacted by the police. Such was the case 3 years ago. The El Moradi police called us. They'd obviously been inundated with complaints from the local people about the gypsies keeping some horses behind an industrial estate. And in this instance, we actually went in with the police, and he actually went in with a gun. And we had to get the 4 horses out very, very quickly. And because we had a horse box for 2 horses, a volunteer whose husband had a furniture shop turned up with her van, and we put the 2 minis in that and drove away. And then we actually had to put the 4 horses in hiding for 6 months because the gypsies were driving around trying to find them.
As dramatic and exciting as it may sound, it most certainly is not. Even for the least sensitive of us, it can be a shocking and harrowing experience. At times, a rescue, rather than saving an animal's life, tragically means saving them from a long and painful death, like in Lola's case. Lola was once a fine and proud working horse, but after a lifetime of strenuous work, ploughing fields and living in the open with no shelter or care, one day, during a thunderstorm, the old girl finally gave up.
She had collapsed in the mud. Some English people that had been feeding her found her, couldn't get her up, called us, and then it turned into a nightmare. The old horse was clearly dying. We tried desperately to get her up in the mud. There was about 8 of us trying to pull her up. She kept going down. I then got a young vet out, and all he could do was sedate her so she wasn't distressed. He wasn't technically even allowed to do that, because you cannot touch the horse unless you have the owner's permission. He couldn't put her to sleep. She needed to be put to sleep. Then the people got upset and were shouting at us to try and do something. Eventually, we managed to track down the owner, who was an old farmer. He came, he got emotional and was crying. Everybody was shouting at him. And all while this horse was just lying there, and she just needed to be put to sleep. Eventually, we got the owner to agree, and the old horse was put to sleep. Quite often, when you have a crisis, emotions run high. And the one thing you cannot do is start to rave and rant at the owners. Doesn't matter how bad the animal is, you have to get that owner on your side to hand you over the horse, to give you permission. However you feel about that person that owns that animal, you have to put all your feelings aside, your anger, everything, and you have to be nice to that person, because that animal depends on you coming to some sort of deal to save it.
So desperate is the condition of some of the animals and so passionate is Sue to rescue them, sometimes the EHC often resort to buying the animals from the owners, a policy that they have often been criticised for.
Some people will say, well, you shouldn't give them money because it encourages them to get another horse. Well, yes, okay, maybe that's the case. However, we have to look at the point in time of what we're treating at the moment, and that animal standing there needs us. And if it's a question of time, when it's only a few days that we have to save that animal, we will do anything we can to secure that animal and get it out and back here to us at the rescue centre. Action speaks louder than words, and I will do anything I can. If I'm involved to help an animal, I will do anything to get that animal at that point in time, and then we'll sort the rest out later.
At last, years of committed EHC campaigning have initiated winds of change in Spain, and when the rescue of 2 shockingly mistreated horses made headline news, people finally began to sit up and take notice of the plight of the horses in Spain.
We were called out by a Spanish guy to tell us that there were 2 horses shut away in a garage in Daya Vieja in a field. The pictures were absolutely horrendous. These horses were skeletal. We went there, we saw the horses. We knew that they had 2 or 3 days at the most if we didn't do something to get them out. Captain was absolutely horrific. He was so skeletal that nobody actually could understand how he was still standing, and he actually had to be rushed to Alicante Horse Hospital to save his life. We actually bought Captain and Hope. We made the owner sign a piece of paper to say that he'd sold them to us, so we actually had the proof that he was the owner. We got the horses out, and then somehow the Seprona, the division of the animal rescue here in Spain, they actually came here and got involved, and the owner of Captain and Hope was actually imprisoned. And we do believe it was the first time in Spain that a person was actually imprisoned for the ill treatment of horses, and it actually made all the Spanish papers. It was big, big news. That old horse has made such a difference because it shocked so many people that had kept the horses very badly that suddenly they were aware that, hang on a minute, I can be arrested, I can be put in prison. And there has been, over the last 3 years since Captain's rescue, a vast improvement of how horses are actually kept in our part of Spain.
As EHC's mission is even more widely publicised, so rescue pleas come from farther afield. Today the centre rescues horses, donkeys and ponies from all over Spain. But the action of rescuing is just a small part of the overall operation. Once the animals arrive at the sanctuary, the long and complicated process of rehabilitation begins. The centre provides a stressless safe haven free from the fear of further abuse, where through kindness, care and company, a rescued horse can gradually build up trust in humans. All too often, after such a long time of being mistreated or neglected, it will take months, and in some cases their trauma runs so deep, there is never a full reconciliation. Although most of the animals here may be too old, injured or distressed ever to be rehomed, they nevertheless play a vital ambassadorial role through education, and Sue and Rod now see an important new direction for the centre.
When I first started the rescue centre, like a lot of things, very naively, I assumed, yes, you would get these horses, you would get them back to health, and you would find all these wonderful people out there that would give them a good home for the rest of their life. However, it isn't the case. We very, very rarely rehome them. If we do, it has to be a really, really good place. They do not go to riding schools, they do not go to livery yards, they do not go to people that just want them for the kids, you know. The horses that are here, they've been abused. Most of them have got some sort of problem, joint problems, eye problems, you know. They really are here for the rest of their life so we can care for them properly. In a perfect world, yes, it would be great to rehome these wonderful animals and ensure that they had a good home for the rest of their life. But because the animals have come here, they've been traumatised, what they've been through, we feel that for most of them that it's better that they stay here under our umbrella. And now we are an educational foundation. Education is the way forward. The kids are the future. Me and my husband Rod, he's in his 60s, I'm in my 50s. We're not going to be here forever. The future is youth. Youth will move this whole thing on. So what we now do is we're open to all the schools. The schools come here weekdays, any day of their choice. We keep every day open for the schools. They come along, it's completely free. They meet the horses, they hear the stories of the horses, they get to stroke the horses, touch the horses. We get them involved with a little bit of grooming or something while they're here so they can actually get hands-on. And this has to be the way forward because you can see it again, you know, the kids come on the school buses, you know, you can imagine 50, 60 Spanish kids shouting, rowdy, and you think, okay, here we go. But you know, when we actually get them through in here, which is actually Face Garden, and I actually explain, this is Face Garden, this is for a very special little pony. And then suddenly they listen. And when I actually show them the picture of Faith and her leg, and I say, this little pony is the first pony in Spain to have an artificial leg. Suddenly, they listen and they want to know why. And when I explain that this little pony, all of her life was tied to a tree, this was how she was kept, tied with ropes, and she was so hungry and thirsty that one day she tried to break free and the rope wrapped around her leg, cut the blood supply off, and then the flesh died. They're horrified. They are horrified. And you're sowing the seeds, but then you can actually show them that you can make it better, you can make a difference. Then they go out and they see Bronson, the horse that somebody smashed a hammer through his head. It gave him brain damage and he actually lost the use of half his body. We actually had to bring him here, and for the first 7 days we had to keep him with his head up to stop him having a brain hemorrhage. And we kept him alive, and that horse taught himself to walk again. And these are true stories, and here is Bronson. You can see the kids, they get it. They actually care, and they're horrified that people would do something like this. And they actually then want to be part of it, and lots of them actually come on a Sunday and volunteer. And really, this has to be the way forward. It's got to be by the animals sharing their stories with young people. So education has got to be the way forward, I think, for Spain, by involving young Spanish people to come to the centre to learn, to see, to feel, to go away, to talk to other people, to talk to the parents even. And it's not just about horses, it's about all animals.
As well as encouraging schools to visit the centre, every Sunday the EHC opens their doors and invite the public to visit. These popular open days are a very effective way to raise awareness, as well as raising badly needed funds for the centre.
I look back when we first started the open days. They were very, very simple affairs. We actually had 2 DIY barbecues with volunteers doing burgers and buns on them, and we had another lady who'd made 1 or 2 homemade cakes with them on a table. They were our original open days, and really again, you know, we just put it in the paper and that we were going to have open days here at the rescue centre. And it was amazing, it was amazing. All these people turned up, and it made us realise that the public obviously enjoyed coming here. And as we've tried to be more professional with our open days, we now have a proper outdoor kitchen where we do a range of absolutely beautiful homemade food, and we also do a fantastic range of cakes, teas, coffees, basically everything that you would want to find. We do 2 horse tours on the open day, And it's just incredible, the people that will turn up. It doesn't matter how hot it is, it doesn't matter how cold it is, it doesn't matter how heavy it rains. People still turn up. And even in the winter months, you know, we've been having 70 or 80 people here on an open day. It's incredible. We've had 1 or 2 instances where people have turned up minus a partner who's sadly they've lost, who's died. And they've actually come along and they've said, me and my husband have had such lovely memories of days here at the rescue centre, we'd like to make this donation. And even last Sunday, we had a group of people turn up and they made a donation. And this guy, I only knew him as Terry, he'd had a stroke and he'd related to Bronson, our horse out there that had the hammer smashed through his head, and he had a similar thing like a stroke. And this Terry had formed this attachment to Bronson. And he always used to come, they used to bring him twice a year to come and see Bronson, and he sponsored Bronson. And this group turned up last open day and said that Terry had sadly died in his sleep, and it was also his birthday, and they knew that Terry's wish would have been that Bronson had his birthday money. So they made this big donation for Bronson on behalf of Terry. And you know, when you get things like this, it really is very, very humbling, and it actually makes you realise how special a lot of people actually see this place. Our open days mean different things to different people. It means somewhere for the grandparents to bring the grandkids for a great day out. It's a family fun day to come and see the animals and laugh and joke. Isadora the pig, Ernie the turkey, the dogs. They all actually play a part in it, you know. It attracts people that have never been near a horse, sat on a horse. In actual fact, some people that have come here before have been frightened of horses. And I think this is the most wonderful thing about it. People can come here and see horses as they would a dog or a cat, as a beautiful animal in their own right, not something that you just get on and ride, and when you can no longer ride it or jump it, it's discarded. And I think probably this is why the centre means so much to so many normal people from normal walks of life, because they don't have to feel that they're horsey. They can just come and be them and enjoy and appreciate the horses and hear their stories as the horses are.
One of the most popular and certainly the most renowned residents of the centre is Dexter. A hit with adults and children alike, Dexter is an unusually large Andalusian mule who is a friendly, free spirit and wanders around the centre, keeping a watchful eye on everybody. Several years ago, just before Christmas, 3 brothers walking to their local bar came upon a very thin and ill Dexter who was stranded in the middle of a busy roundabout. Seeing the distress he was in, the brothers managed to stop the traffic and lead Dexter back to their home, where they contacted the EHC. It wasn't long before Dexter and the 3 brothers appeared at the centre, arriving like the 3 wise men bearing a Christmas miracle gift. Since then, Dexter has become somewhat of a mascot and celebrity. To this day, nobody knows who owned him and where he came from. It goes without saying that behind Sue and Rod, there is an incredible team of volunteers. EHC now runs several charity shops, which are the financial core of the foundation and are operated by a dedicated group of invaluable people. There are people behind the scenes who help with marketing, publicity, and even the website with its online shop. And of course, at the rescue centre itself, volunteers help with the weekly open day, as well as the less glamorous daily clean-up.
We couldn't do it without them. As you can appreciate, with 52 horses, ponies and donkeys, every stable has to be mucked out. All the fields every day have to be cleared. 50 odd buckets have to be washed every day. The horses are fed 3 times a day, and it is physical work from 6 o'clock in the morning till about 8 o'clock at night. So for anybody that wants to keep fit, there's plenty of scope out there with a wheelbarrow. The people that come here on the open days to volunteer also are people that do the teas, the coffees, the food, the clearing up the tables and chairs, assist with the horse tours, do the merchandise. It probably involves 10 volunteers in total to make an open day work, because obviously you've got the sheer amount of people that come in on the open day. You've got to serve teas and coffees, collect the plates, cutlery, wash them, get them ready for the next people, general assistance, answering questions. On a Sunday we also have a pony club, because again education plays a big part with the kiddies, and for that we actually have a highly qualified instructor, highly qualified. She comes here on her day off every Sunday to do the pony club for us, and also the donations from that go to the centre to help fund the centre. So we do have some really extraordinary volunteers that are now part of the foundation.
These ordinary people with extraordinary devotion have helped to transform the centre into what it is today and what it hopes to become. To ensure continuance and secure its future, Sue and Rod have formed a board of trustees and created the EHC Foundation. The foundation will enable other centres to be opened throughout Spain, and will also mean that campaigning by the EHC Foundation will be taken seriously at both a national and European level. Supporters of the foundation benefit from transparent accounting that enable them to see where the donations and money generated by the centre is being spent. And of course, the potential benefit to animals in desperate need is profound.
It is literally a foundation now to grow upon. The foundation is here, the infrastructure is here, and now we will develop the organisation in different ways. The charity shops, the educational centre, the open days. These are all ways where the centre will grow, and obviously as it grows, more and more people, professional people, will come on board. I would like the Easy Horse Care Rescue Centre Foundation to actually be animal welfare, but for all of Spain. For €25 a year, you can become a member of the foundation. Now, what that actually means is you are giving the horses a voice. You are going to speak for the horses. Our aim is to have thousands of members throughout the world. By having thousands of members, when Easy Horse Care Rescue Centre Foundation starts to lobby with European Parliament and the government and local councils, which we surely will when we're strong enough to do so, you will give your voice to the horses, and by becoming a voice, you will help us do this.
And while the team at EHC fight for new legislations and an enlightened attitude towards animals in Spain, they need your continued support. They need your membership. And most of all, they need you to tell people about the great work being done at the centre every single day.
This is a place of joy, happiness, positiveness. This isn't a sad place where you're going to come and see sad, unloved, unhappy animals. You're going to see animals that have survived, endured, and are here and are given quality of life. These are why you should come here to the Easy Horse Care Rescue Centre. See for yourself, go away and tell other people and help us make a difference.
By supporting the Easy Horse Care Foundation, you will help to give a life to our rescued animals. A life that for many at the centre, for the first time, consists of companionship, friendship, play, security and love. Support our charity shops on the Costa Blanca, in Quesada, La Siesta, Los Montesinos, La Zenia and Guadamar. Become a voice for the horses by joining as a member. Memberships are vital to help us continue to campaign for mistreated animals. For more details of our shops or how to become a member, see our website.